Hi, everybody. This is Venkat from Simply Coach, and you're listening to the Growth Dialogues podcast, the show that brings together experts in coaching, therapy, and consulting from around the world.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Growth Dialogues. Our guest today is Karas Wright. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we're going to talk a bit about something that many of the coaches worldwide talk about is how to create multiple revenue streams as a coach. And our guest today has been very successful at doing that. So we'll aim to get some of our secrets that so that all of us can succeed at this. But I'm going to start with asking what's the broad range of services that you provide as an executive and leadership coach?
Yes, thank you so much, Venkat. So, as an executive leadership, and I also do a lot of business coaching as well. I would say that's where my business has exploded over the last 6 months is supporting business owners. The multiple streams comes from one-on-one coaching, group coaching, but I also do a number of self-service courses that allows them to explore. And then in addition to that, provide monthly different elements where we can come together as a group, learn together, and then come back together to say, okay, I put it into practice. So as an example, monthly coming in March, I'll be connecting as a morning group with business owners. And on Monday mornings, I'm going to do a bit of a teach on a specific topic that is geared towards them growing in an area. And then on Thursday, they take that homework that they've been assigned, go and apply it into their business, so then it becomes real world practical experience. So that's something that has been really profound and helpful because it has both that theoretical and then practical application.
It's very impressive. That's a full week of many different things that you will be doing, right?
Right. So on any given week, I might be working in the business, doing coaching, facilitation, supporting individuals through group chats that I have through the simply.coach platform. I might be doing a webinar,
Mm-hmm.
or I might be spending time working on the business. So cultivating new programs, looking at my data to understand how are some of my income streams actually working and not working. And I think one of the most important things that I've learned over the years, and my background's actually in business banking, is to separate the emotion from the data in
Yeah.
terms of my business. And it's really easy as a business owner to get wrapped up in, I love this product. And so a prime example of that, Venkat, is I had a 8-month business development program that I would take a business owner through very detailed instructions of building out their business plan over the course of 8 months. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that product was really popular prior to
Mm-hmm.
COVID. Now people don't have the time or the inclination to do that. So I had to pivot and rethink about what is that going to look like in smaller chunks so that people who are very time pressed can actually utilize that.
Excellent. So many of the coaches who are watching this, they probably start with doing one-on-one coaching. Maybe they've got certified as a coach, they got a client, etc. In your own experience, how did this multiple revenue stream idea come? Was it an organic thought? Was it driven by your clients? Take us through your experience on this.
I love that question. And to answer it, it's a little bit of both. It was organic because I
Mhm.
had certain clients that were looking for certain things. So,
Okay.
example, I was working with and then continuing to work with a franchisor in the corporate office and one on one coaching with each individual, but recognizing that they needed something additional. So, out of that created workbooks, and then that spawned into another idea for a workshop that I could take to other clients. The other element of that is I'm really fascinated by a lot of topics, and narrowing things down didn't necessarily make sense. So it was, how can I actually satisfy this need of being, working in a number of different hats as a leadership coach, as a business coach, but I have a soft spot for mindset coaching. It's something that gets weaved in and embedded within all of my coaching. Although I'm not a life coach, every once in a while I do have somebody that pops up and says, hey, can you help me out with that? And depending on the fit, I'll go, okay, how does this apply to your broader skills and your broader knowledge in professional business or leadership? And let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I liked what you said a bit earlier about separating the emotion and the data driven. So as you work through a lot of these streams, maybe some yield results immediately, some take time. How long do you give yourself to say, okay, I think I should give this a certain time? After this, I'm shutting it down and I'm moving on. How do you make that judgment call?
Great question. What it really does come down to is what is the it starts with what is the consistency I'm putting into that particular stream. It's really hard to identify whether something is working if you're only doing it once a quarter or once a year. How do you know whether that is actually working or not? So if it's a workshop that you've got coming up regularly, or it is a pathway that you've built with a number of clients that you can sit down and extrapolate the data and go, okay, you know what, this is actually working, or here's some places that I need to make some tweaks because this is not necessarily hitting the mark and helping with the growth of clients. So the short answer to that is, as long as consistency is there, it's having a meeting with myself every quarter to kind of go, okay, let's look at that business stream. What is making sense? What is not making sense? And do I have to flag it as a let's watch on the watch list? Or is it gotta nix it because it's either not serving my clients, I'm not being passionate about that anymore, or it's just something that needs to be nixed, or let's actually double down and think a little differently. So another example is in the last quarter, I've picked up and am working exclusively with a company right now, which has taken a lot of my time away from my one-on-one clients, but I still want to serve and support. So I've had to take a hard look at how do I look at that business line a little differently and be able to pivot that to support them in a really strong manner that helps them grow. So I've had to look at right now, I'm not going to be able to take on any more than one or two one-on-one clients, but in the summer, that will be able to change. So it's looking at what have you got, what are your current contracts going, and then what's coming down the pipeline, so you can also forecast what needs to be pushed and pulled.
It's a great insight, Chris, because I think the point you make about prioritizing, right? So, inevitably, if you're doing so many things and successfully, you have, in this example that you gave, you have prioritized a particular area over one on one coaching. And for some of our coaches, the worry could be that I'm trying something and I'm giving away my one on one coaching, which I'm very, very good at. So, do you have a sense of, if I may use the word trepidation, do you see a risk if some of our coaches were to try this? And how did you manage that risk yourself?
Yeah, it is a worry and something that I have been concerned about in the back of my head. What I would say is that it's about looking at it. It's not an all or nothing thing. It's not a forever thing. And to step into the concept of experimentation. So looking at, okay, right now, I'm not able to take on any more one-on-one clients, but what can I do? Let's pivot in the short term, see what works where that is concerned by moving things to an online course format. If that works, great. How can I expand that or incorporate that long term? If I can't, well, then let's go back to the tried and true. So the other element of that is if I can't take on a one-on-one client that reaches out to me, I'm also going to build my network by saying, you know what, I don't have capacity for this right now. Is this something that we can look at in 3 months? I'm actually onboarding new clients in May for a June start, or making a referral to one of my trusted partners that I've been working with for years, because coaches know a lot of coaches. And so that referral reciprocation comes into consideration. Yes, it's a concern. Absolutely. Because there's that fear of, am I going to be able to put food on the table?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what it is at the end of the day.
Mm.
My long-term vision for the business is actually to bring in more coaches that will be able to support. So when I look at the short-term vision, yes, it's just me, but the 3, 5-year, 10-year vision is that I will have a number of coaches that specialize in different areas that will be able to kind of say, come deal with right step coaching, and you'll be able to find a coach that really you'll be able to have as a trusted partner. And so knowing that's where I'm going, that's actually helps me take away the fear factor of, okay, I'm giving up something, but I'm in the short term, but I know what the long-term goal is.
Great. And just to get a bit deeper on that, so when you get a new idea for a new revenue stream, an offering, uh, do you validate that externally, or is it your own thinking process? How do you sort of get to, okay, I'm going ahead with this? What's your
I
validation process?
I love that question, because on any given day, any given week, I might come up with 5 new ideas.
Mhm.
And so I have to be really cautious about, uh, is this idea worth looking at? And so the concept of validation is really important in terms of that, going out to the target market, reaching out to my network, using my CRM to say, hey, this is something that I'm looking at. Would you be interested in it? Testing it out, looking at what is in the market. What are other coaches doing? More importantly, what are they not doing that might fill a gap? And then looking at the actual viability of it. So just because we have an idea, and I think current neuroscience stats is we have anywhere of up to 60,000 thoughts a day, and some of them are going to be ideas. Doesn't mean we need to execute on it. So what I actually do is I have in my notebook, which is an electronic notebook, is a space for ideas. And
Mhm.
so it's just like, let's capture it down. And that might be something that we capitalize on now. It might be something that we look forward to in the future. And it might be something that was just an idea that will never come to pass.
60,000 thoughts a day, something I learned.
Something
Excellent.
like that. Yes. Yeah.
So, as you do all of this, and you mentioned that you have been using Simply Coach, where does a digital platform fit into all of these work that you do? How does
Mm.
that a platform like Simply Coach help you?
For me, it does a couple of different things. First and foremost, for my clients, it gives peace of mind that it is a secure portal, that we can communicate either worksheets, they can create their notes, keep that really safe. I can send them nudges to say, hey, we are working on this. How is that going? Be able to communicate and set up contracts in a safe and secure manner. So the first and foremost when I make any sort of decision is what is the impact on my customer? How is that going to support the CRM? How is that going to support the relationship? How is that going to support them feeling safe and secure by dealing with me? For me, it's organization. So organizing my articles that I want to send, organizing my podcasts that I want to send, creating pathways for either group coaching or individual coaching. Most importantly, really categorizing and keeping my coach notes
Mm-hmm.
in a very clear format, so I can go back in if it's been a couple of weeks or a month since I've seen somebody and go, what were we working on? So then I can come back and reference that. How's that going? And then the ability to embed my things like Zoom, which is so powerful. I don't have to go look for something. I know if I'm going to launch a meeting, I do it right from the platform. So it's that ease and convenience of things. And then you guys have provided all sorts of resources that I can either use exactly as is, or I can augment, which is fantastic. So platforms are really important. I can't say enough in this digital age of being able to move into something that's online to keep yourself organized. I think it also allows for scalability. So, one thing that I will eventually capture on is that ability when Right Step does expand, is that I can bring in other coaches to be able to utilize that system. It becomes a simple, repeatable process from a business standpoint. And then I'm able to look and say, okay, you know what, Johnny Smith, who is a coach, has left, but I'm going to transition that person to Sally Sue, and I can just really migrate and transfer that relationship over, do some warm handoffs, make sure that the client's feeling safe and secure. But then I don't have to worry about, well, where was that meeting? Who was that with? It becomes a really seamless process from a scalability standpoint as well.
Excellently put. Excellently put. And just in terms of the digital platform itself, did you find some hesitation from some of your clients about accessing a platform? Let's just keep it private between why should I have a platform? Any anecdotes from any of your clients who are reluctant about using one?
I think from a one-on-one standpoint, no. I have a really robust onboarding process that talks about here's what we're going to do in the intake forms, and then here's next step. Download my app. Let's talk about what actually is in there, setting their mind at ease as to what's the benefit of it. And of course, that benefit is we don't have emails going back and forth, and you're going, oh, what was that thing that Karas sent me? I've got to go find it. Well, no, it's right there in the platform. They can pull it up. I've had many of my business coachees and leadership coachees that have actually gone and said, I've actually been able to download that, share it with my team, and then I'm teaching some of the things forward that we've talked about, or the resources that you sent me. I actually shared that with a colleague or friend or whatnot, because it was easy to access. They know they just go into the app, they pull it up, and away we go. Where I did find a little bit of a trepidation was in group coaching, especially when that cohort isn't familiar with one another. And so that takes a little more work to get them comfortable with one another, especially in kind of that chat forum space, building the connections, building the community. But along the road, I've found different ways of being able to build that connection for them.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, you talked about setting up these multiple revenue streams, prioritization, and as your business grows, probably inducting more coaches. So I get that execution part, it seems to work very well. Some of our coaches who are doing this and say, okay, I've got all these ideas, but how do I market all of this? Because
Mm-hmm.
who's going to know I'm doing all this? So what's your secret sauce? How do you market this all to your potential audience and potential clients?
I would love to say I've got a great answer for that, Venkat. I've been really fortunate over the past couple of years that a lot of my business has come word of mouth. Now, with that being said, what I'm recognizing as a gap within my business is the fact that I need to start doing more consistent marketing. And so with that, I've actually started looking at and kind of coaching myself and going underneath and going, okay, what is the gap? What is my resistance to doing certain things? Why am I not doing a podcast? Why am I not going on social media and having those things? And what's the barrier to it? And quite honestly, it's mindset. But realizing that what's got me here is not going to get me there.
Yeah.
And so I have worked with a couple of individuals to help me create that consistency within what the marketing stream looks like. What does the promotion aspect of building the business look like? And if there is that ability to go, okay, we've got too much business going in, well, that's great. That just means that I'll be able to scale that much sooner. So it's not a great answer to your question because I feel like I'm in that boat with a lot of our coaches. But what I would say is investing in a consistency in a marketing strategy is really important. And looking at what does that look like? Is it making sure that we've got a newsletter? So I do have a newsletter that goes out to my existing clients. I do have that on my website. Am I promoting it enough? No. Is that something that I am looking at doing? Absolutely. Am I looking at, okay, what do I need to be doing on Google Ads or Google Analytics a little more often? Absolutely. The biggest barrier to that is time to create knowledge. And do I want to do that myself? Or am I going to align myself with a partner who's going to be able to support me with that?
It's actually a great answer, Chris, because I think getting what you want to do is one thought process, and then getting it to the market. I
Yeah.
think points that you make about content and all the other social media is absolutely
Yeah.
so. Absolutely. Anything else you would like to end with telling our coaches about what they should be looking at? What would be your tips to them?
I think a couple of things I would say is a lot of us, including myself, we got into this business because we are passionate about helping people. And what's romantic about that is that we get that ability to influence, impact, and make a difference in the world. But once we're in there, we got to actually take that romanticism and put it to the backside and start thinking about it in a business sense. And so the best thing that we can do is actually look at what is our org chart going to be. And yes, we might actually be us at the top as the founder and the president, but we've got to start thinking strategically about the different arms, the operational element, the marketing element, the finance element, and all of that. Put our faces in there so that you can identify as you scale and grow what is the actual piece that you don't love, so that that becomes the first component that you look at hiring out, either contracting out or hiring a VA or hiring a part-time, full-time person to take that over. So then you can concentrate on the other things. So it's really looking at the art of coaching, stepping back, and becoming the business of coaching.
It's a great, great quote on which to end this particular episode. Thank you very much, Chris, for being very generous with your time
Mm.
and sharing a lot of practical tips with our listeners and viewers. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for the opportunity, Venkat, and I love the podcasts and keep the series going.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Growth Dialogues. Don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you enjoy your podcast.